wealth, power, influence, they were in J.P. Morgan hands, the guy who owned the first billion-dollar company, and he managed to dominate the most profitable industries. So much so that the American economy was literally dependent on the actions of J.P. Morgan. With a simple word, he can save a company or condemn it to bankruptcy. Who is J.P. Morgan? How did he manage to reach this position? All you have to do is subscribe to the channel. John Morgan was born in Connecticut in 1837 under special circumstances because John Junius Morgan father was a very wealthy banker. He was keen that John get the best education. This is because he wanted John to follow in his footsteps as a financier. Although John was born into a wealthy environment, his childhood was not the best. Because he was sick with severe coughing attacks, migraines, and various diseases, this caused him to isolate himself from reality, and at one point, John became incapacitated. The only solution for his father, who was helpless, was to send John to live alone in the Azores in the Atlantic Ocean. His father thought the climate there would help John recover, and he remained on the island for about a year without any family. Finally, John recovered, continued his education in Switzerland and Germany, and was ready to enter the world of finance and business. At the time, his father was a junior partner in a London-based banking firm. Thanks to his father, John was able to work on Wall Street in a banking firm. Despite his young age, John's job was to write reports for his father's company detailing financial and political events in America. John's father feared that his son would be so impulsive and short-tempered that he would not be able to become a successful financier, and he had to learn to take responsibility. In 1859, John made a risky gamble by using company funds to purchase an entire shipment of coffee. Although a good profit was made from its sale, members of the banking company, including John's father, could not bear the risks. By the age of 24, John had left the company on his own, a risk that would change his life. John started his own company and worked hard at it, even though he was going through a difficult time due to the death of his wife. At the same time, there was a civil war in America, and John was wanted to enlist, but John paid $300 for someone else to enlist in his place. This does not mean that he escaped from the war, but on the contrary, he was able to benefit greatly from it. For example, he bought 5,000 old unusable rifles. This was the price of the gun, $350, which he repaired and sold to the government at $22 per rifle. This profit was estimated at 600%, and this is evidence that he seems to have a strong financial mentality in the world of finance and business. In 1871, John had a golden opportunity to collaborate with a prominent businessman, banker Anthony Drexel. They founded Drexel Morgan & Co., which would be the company that John would run for the rest of his life. John was mostly just a broker of deals between investors and visionaries in exchange for a cut of the profits, but as John amassed a greater personal fortune and reputation, he was able to finance many projects himself, his first investment being the American railroad system. At that time, most major industries were monopolies, such as oil, but railways were not monopolies, and there were many companies competing with each other. Instead of John not being afraid of this competition, he saw that the solution was to unify and merge these small industries so that one company would monopolize the railway system and John would be able to control prices. Over time, he was able to own 250,000 shares of William Vanderbilt Company, one of the most famous railway companies in the country, the New York Central Railroad Company, to the point that he reached the stage of owning railways in America at a time when they represented 60% of the value. The market for securities in America, and over time, John's time changed due to his intelligence and good relations with U.S. President William McKinley. He had control over the railroad sector in the United States, but things didn't go as planned because of the assassination of William McKinley. Roosevelt was appointed president, which was bad news for John due to his persecution, and Roosevelt's intent to withdraw his privileges. Indeed, the Justice Department filed an antitrust case against his company, leading to its eventual breakup. However, this was just the beginning for John. In 1901, Carnegie Steel Company was thriving, and Carnegie decided to retire despite making a net profit of $40 million annually. This presented an opportunity for John to buy it for the remaining $480 million, marking the largest commercial deal in history at the time. He merged it with Federal Steel Company and several smaller companies to form U.S. Steel Corporation, the world's first billion-dollar company. John controlled American steel production and financed Thomas Edison's electrical experiments. Over time, John came under scrutiny and was summoned to testify before the Pujo Committee to investigate his financial dealings. Meanwhile, he suffered nervous breakdowns and mental decline due to negative media portrayal. He even planned to board the Titanic on its maiden voyage, but withdrew at the last minute due to health issues. Surprisingly, John didn't continue his investigations as he passed away in March 1913, leaving J.P. Morgan & Co. to his son, who continued to expand it into the largest financial institution today, valued at $3 trillion, making Morgan the world's largest bank by market capitalization.